If you're making these drop knees mistakes, they could be hindering your ability to finish the climb. I see so many climbers learning the drop knees and making these 3 common mistakes, so I want to help you prevent that from happening to you too. That way you can harness the whole use of drop knees and enjoy the abilities that it gives you and those super fun sends. Hi, I'm Sarah from Send Edition, and thank you so much for joining me. I have Meg, my wife, who's helping me out this week as I'm still recovering. My thought was we'll have her go do a couple of drop knees and then I'll point out some common mistakes. Problem is, we've been climbing together so much that she is very well versed in drop knees, and I actually had her go back and redo some climbs and intentionally make some mistakes so you guys can see what it looks like and what it should look like when you do a drop knee. If you aren't familiar with how to do drop knees already, you may benefit from watching this video first and then come back to this video where we go through the mistakes that you may accidentally make when you're learning how to drop knee. Let's jump into those 3 mistakes. Mistake number 1 is the most common mistake that I see when people are first learning how to do the drop knee, and that's that they twist the hip in the wrong way. And here's an example of that. Meg is reaching up with her right hand and she's putting her left hip into the wall. This is a super common mistake, and if you're making it, it's totally fine, but we need to fix it right now. In order for a drop knee to be the most effective and easiest to accomplish, you're going to want to put the same hip of the side that you're going up with. So if you're going up with your right hand, then you're going to want to put your right hip into the wall. This does a couple things. It gives you that extra reach that we talked about is really important as part of a drop knee, and it also enables you to use your opposite hand to hold you into the wall. If you don't put your hip into the right way, not only will you lose that extra length, but you'll also find it extremely difficult to hold the position because you're not using any twisted tension motion, you're just using your muscles to hold in. If you aren't sure if you're making this mistake, then grab a friend and have them video you on your phone. That way you can look at it and say, okay, I'm going up with my left hand, my left hip is in, check, I did that right. And if you are going up with your left hand and your right hip is in, you know what went wrong there and you can repeat the climb and fix the problem. Remember, when you are learning drop knees, work on this technique on grades that are at least 2 grades below what you're currently working on. That way you can focus on the challenge of the technique and not necessarily the challenge of the route itself. Mistake number 2 is common for people who climb all the way up to intermediate and sometimes even advanced climbing. In fact, I've made this mistake so many times that I know exactly what it feels like, and I know what you're going through if you're making the same mistake. That is that you are doing drop knees on slabs. When you move from weight from being in the center to the right, for example, you want to be able to use the big toe of your right foot. That way you can hold all of your weight on that toe while you move your left foot up. When it comes to drop knees, you're actually turning your toes so that the pinky toe is what's holding you onto those little holds. This can be problematic since your pinky is not near as strong as that big toe. Additionally, drop knees actually prevent you from moving very much when it comes to your hips. That's part of the reason we love it on overhang climbs. But on slabs, you need to be able to move your hip from side to side. When you turn your body sideways, you change it from going side to side to forward and back, which can be much more limiting. That being said, if you are practicing drop knees on slab on an easier route, you may find that it's still possible, but it's not an ideal technique. In fact, using flags and rockovers on slabs is a much better idea, so you should start practicing that now. If you like this video and it's giving you value so far, please give it a thumbs up and share it with any of your friends who may also be learning how to drop knee. Mistake number 3 is a more advanced mistake, and it's going to take a while to figure out. So what I recommend is going to a spray wall or the kids wall and testing this out. And that's having your feet in a position that will not support drop knees. For drop knees, you need to be able to put significant weight on the foot that you are actually dropping your knee back on. So if you have your feet level, this can be pretty easy. In fact, if you have your feet where the knee that's dropping down is slightly higher than the other foot, this is still pretty easy. But once you start getting to the point where your opposite foot might be a little bit higher, you'll find it can be more challenging to keep your balance. The further your legs spread apart, even more difficult. Now, this is an important mistake to consider when there are multiple footholds available for you to use. You want to make sure that you're placing your feet in a way that will support the drop knee. But the harder the routes are, it's likely that you'll have very little choice, at which point you have to decide is doing a drop knee actually a good idea with the footholds that I have available, or should I just use a flag or some other type of technique? For me, I absolutely love the drop knee and will do it if possible. A couple of months ago, I was working on a super challenging route where I knew the first move was a drop knee, but I felt like my legs were too long to be able to hold that position in such a small space. Luckily for me, I caught eye of someone else doing the route. They were 6'2", well above my height. Their legs were much longer than mine, and they were able to do that drop knee. It was a deep drop knee. It looked really challenging, but it was proof to me that that was actually an inadequacy on my part and my inability to do that drop knee. Not that the technique was incorrect or that I just couldn't do it. So if you find yourself and think, oh, I'm too short or I'm too tall, it's highly possible that if you just got a little bit better at those drop knees, that you too would be able to do drop knee in that position. This week's Climb of the Week is a really fun V3 that Meg found at the Momentum in Sandy, Utah. So if you guys are there, go ahead and check it out. I've seen people as short as 5'2", all the way through 6'1" doing this route. So it doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, you're probably going to enjoy it as well. It's all about really good feet, pretty poor hands, and I think you'll like it. Thank you, Meg, so much for helping me out with this video. I really appreciate your time. And if you want to see more of Meg as well, share a comment below with what you think she should do next. And by the way, YouTube thinks that this is the video you should watch next, so check it out. Did that one work? Benefits of living in an apartment complex is you get big trucks driving through all the time, and when you're trying to create videos like this, the sound is horrible.